Make sure you're following me on Twitter because, well, I can answer your Dolphins questions over there if you didn't get featured in the mailbag. But you know what? I also wanted to give some follow backs to some Dolphins fans. The first 10 people to follow me from today's show will get a follow back. I want to create a larger community of Fins fans on my Twitter/X. My handle is at Nic_Rohloff, so go give me a follow. Remember, first 10 get a follow back. Welcome into Dolphins Today. I am Nic Rohloff. Fun show here as we get to answer some of the latest and most pressing questions surrounding the Miami Dolphins. And the first one's coming in from Jack Lotteray. Oh my, what's the latest on Greg Van Roten? Well, Jack, if you have been subscribed to the channel, you would know that we talk about Greg Van Roten quite a bit. He is the top offensive guard available in free agency, and he's one of the only guys, if the only guy, that is still out there that if the Dolphins picked up off the street today, he would probably be your starting right guard. It's obviously the biggest need for Miami. Robert Jones, Jack Driscoll, Liam Eichenberg, and Lester Cotton are all going to compete for that starting right guard spot during training camp that gets underway within the next 2 weeks here. If the Dolphins do not feel comfortable after watching those four guys compete through the first couple weeks of training camp, I do believe they could go out and sign Van Roten. I think they should do it now. Evidently, Chris Grier doesn't feel the same way. They have $16 million in cap space, so Miami could do it right now if they really wanted to. But I guess they're just going to hold off. Let's hope Greg Van Roten's still on the board if Miami does think they need a right guard. Chad Jones! Do you think Mike not changing up the offense is what hurt us towards the end of the... Okay, so do you think Mike McDaniel not changing up the offense? No, listen, everybody's going to adjust, right? And when the Dolphins offense first hit the league, you got that quick motion, the quick stuff, the over the middle of the field stuff, attack your zones with that motion. I think it shocked a lot of people because people just haven't seen that type of offense before. And teams were starting to make adjustments for it. And sure, you can say Mike McDaniel should have changed up the offense, but this is what his players knew. So what I think the adjustment for this upcoming year for McDaniel and company is going to be is stick to your bread and butter, have those plays still that made you so dynamic over the past 2 seasons, but you have to have a fallback option to where the defense adjusts to that, where you throw a counterpunch to their counterpunch. It's a game of chess in the NFL. That's really what it is. Sure, players go out there and make phenomenal plays to beat coaching, but coaching might matter more in the NFL than it does in any other sport. So as long as Mike McDaniel has an adjustment to the defensive adjustments, I'm going to feel pretty good about Mike McDaniel and his offensive scheme. Colin Johnson with a question. If the hashtag Dolphins can't work out an extension, would you trade Tua? It's a loaded question because, well, do you extend Tua? What do you do? And if you don't come to an extension, should you trade him? I'll say this, Colin. I'm not going to trade Tua Tagovailoa, and I do understand that line of thinking, right? Like, that's kind of something that is pretty common in the NBA. If you can't work out a contract, well, we're going to trade you so you don't leave for nothing. And even though if the Dolphins don't get an extension done before training camp and he holds out, like, I still think the best course of action for Miami is keeping Tua Tagovailoa because even if you don't get a deal done, you have the franchise tag over the next 2 seasons to use on Tua. So to me, that's probably the way this could head. And Tua could demand a trade, but the Dolphins could also say, we're not trading you. And it's probably where it's going to go. Because, like, what are you trading Tua for? What would you get in return? Like, I don't know who would be the Miami Dolphins quarterback of the future if you ended up trading Tua. There's really not that many good options in free agency, and there's not really any other quarterbacks that are going to shake loose in the trade market. So unless you're drafting or trading Tua for a top 10 pick and taking quarterback there, which would only delay your timeline of potentially competing in the AFC, I don't see that as an option, and I probably wouldn't trade Tua. Let me know, though, if he doesn't sign an extension, would you consider trading Tua? Type Y for yes or type N for no. We'll stick with the quarterbacks here with Edgar0530. Skylar Thompson or Mike White for QB2? That's a good question. I think it all depends on how they perform during training camp and in the preseason. Now, personally, I probably lean Skylar Thompson because I actually think he's a better quarterback. And I know Mike White's getting paid more money than Skylar Thompson this upcoming year. Like, you could save $3 million in cap space if you cut or trade Mike White. And to me, I feel like that is going to be the best option, because even if Mike White is better than Skylar Thompson, it's by a very marginal amount, right? So, like, is the $3 million on the books for Mike White worth the marginal upgrade of QB2 over Skylar Thompson? I'm not so sure. And like I said, I don't even think Skylar is worse than Mike White. Like, I would argue he's better. He's had experience in big-time moments for this Dolphins team. For crying out loud, he played and started a postseason game against the Buffalo Bills and almost went into Buffalo and beat them in 2022. Like, this is a very capable backup, and I am absolutely fine having Skylar Thompson as my QB2, which means Mike White being cut or traded is definitely in the cards. And keep your eye on UDFA out of UTEP, Gavin Hardison. I think he could make some noise in July and August here. He has a big arm. He's mobile. He's a gunslinger. It's just all about if he can get the accuracy down. But if he can and he shows flashes, maybe Mike White is even more expendable than he is right now. Make sure you are subscribed to Dolphins Today, because we're going to give you news and rumors around the Fins the quickest. We also go live every week, and if you missed our mailbag, it might be because you don't have your notifications turned on when we go live every Tuesday. So make sure you do that as well as join the channel so you don't miss anything surrounding the Dolphins. Joseph, how confident are we in the O-line and D-line to hold up through the season? All right, two-part question here. We'll start with the positive, and that's defensive line. If you include the edge group in the edge department, my confidence on a scale of 1 to 10 is at a 9.1. I am very confident in this defensive line. Just think about what you can throw at opposing quarterbacks and offensive lines. You got Jalen Phillips. You got Bradley Chubb. You got Shaq Barrett. 2 rookies in Mo Kamara and Chop Robinson. And you also have Zach Sealer coming off 10-sack season last season. And then after you added Calais Campbell as well, like, those 7 guys I just named are extremely good. And sure, the depth at interior defensive line is sketchy, and if you end up having a bunch of injuries in that position, it could be an issue. But the defensive line, I have a ton of confidence in, and I think that group is going to be top 5 in the league in pressure rate, sacks. Like, I am very bullish on the Miami Dolphins pass rush, especially under a coach in Anthony Weaver, first-time defensive coordinator in Miami, who is extremely known for being able to develop a good pass rush, as he was a defensive line coach in Baltimore. The offensive line side of it, on a scale of 1 to 10, my confidence is a little bit lower. I'll give it a 6.3, and it's not completely horrific, but when you think about what the Fins have, like, it's probably the worst part of their team, right? Their offensive line. Like, I like Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson as your bookend tackles, but we know Armstead is severely injury prone, and that's why you drafted Patrick Paul 55th overall to be a potential swing tackle, but also his long-term replacement if this is Armstead's final season. Your interior offensive line is where it really gets questionable, though. You don't know who's starting at right guard with Robert Jones, Jack Driscoll, Liam Eichenberg, and Lester Cotton fighting for that starting spot after you lost Robert Hunt in free agency. You signed Aaron Brewer to a 3-year deal to replace Connor Williams. I think he's a fine replacement, but I'm not out there to tell you he is going to be some all-pro center like Connor Williams was playing at. And at left guard, Isaiah Wynn, I think he can be really good if he stays healthy, but he's never been able to stay healthy. So you've got 2 question marks at left guard and right guard, a center trying to replace Connor Williams, who was excellent the past year and a half for Miami. It's not the most confident part of this team, that is for sure. That's why I give it a 6.3 in the confidence meter. Every Noodle, you think Channing Tindall or Cam Smith will get over the hump and make an impact in the roster? So 2 players here that we have to talk about, Channing Tindall and Cam Smith. I'll start with Cam Smith. His playing time is very dependent on injuries, if you ask me. Like, even though he was a second-round pick in 2023 out of South Carolina, like, he's still behind both Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller in the depth chart, and who knows if he's even above Nick Needham. Now, you're hoping that Cam Smith puts together a good preseason in camp to be that third corner without a doubt in terms of boundary, because he's not a nickel guy, and that's Kader Kohu's position. But Cam Smith, if Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller stay healthy, I don't really see a lot of formations where he'll be on the field in the normal defense for the Dolphins, which is fine because I'm very happy with having Fuller and Ramsey as your 2 boundary guys. But Cam Smith could be buried if you have good health at your cornerback room. Channing Tindall, he's got to fight to make this roster, man. Like, he really does. Like, you think about what Miami has at linebacker. David Long Jr., I'm a fan. Jordan Brooks and Anthony Walker are your 2B, 2 or 3A type I like those two in unison. You got your run stopper in Brooks, your pass coverage linebacker in Anthony Walker. There's a fight for LB4. I only think the Dolphins keep 4 inside linebackers. Will it be Duke Riley or will it be Channing Tindall? I think I give the edge to Duke Riley, but Tindall, the former third-round pick, is going to have an excellent preseason and training camp if he wants to beat out Riley to get that 4th linebacker spot. We have to tell you about this quarter zip. Look at it. It looks terrific, but I'm also wearing it. Who does it look better on? I honestly don't know. I think me. I'm always going to say me. But get yours today. Join me. Old school logo. Nice little comfortability. It's light. It's very versatile. You could wear it on the golf course. You could wear it at home. You could wear it to work like I am right now. Get yours today. chatsports.com/DolphinsQZ. Links in the description and comments. Edgar with another question. If the Dolphins don't extend Tua, what could the Dolphins do now or at the end of the season to make some salary cap to pay him? Well, it's an intriguing question because obviously if they don't extend him now, I have to look. Like, there's other things they could do. They can restructure Bradley Chubb's contract. They can restructure some Tyreek Hill, give him an extension, and push some of that money down the road as he doesn't have a ton of guaranteed money next season. Like, there's many different things that the Dolphins can do. And if I'm going to be honest, maybe this is on me, hands up. I haven't looked a ton into the cap space and moves Miami would have to make if they don't extend him now. But here's the thing, like, if they extend him now, if they don't extend him now, they're going to have to make cap moves regardless to make it fit for next season and beyond. We'll see what the Dolphins end up doing, though. I'll be better prepared next time for this question. Joseph Coloma, do we have another Noah situation with Cam Smith? Well, Iggy wasn't so good. He was a first-round pick out of Auburn, and he never really found his stride in Miami. Difference because Noah was a higher pick than Cam Smith, and Noah had his chances. He just wasn't good. Cam Smith didn't get any chances last year, Joseph. He only played 20 snaps for Vic Fangio. So I think there's a little bit of a difference here that Noah got a lot of playing time and it was bad. Cam Smith has yet to get playing time, and he's only in year 2. I don't know if we have another situation developing. He's kind of just buried on the depth chart. We're just going to have to see how Cam Smith performs when he gets his number called to be on this field. Shire City, I want to know where the Dolphins fans are watching from. We know we reach worldwide as YouTube can be viewed almost anywhere. So let me know where you're watching from, whether it be a city in the United States, whether it be a country. Let me know where you're watching the show from. Timbo, do you think Malik will be a standout this upcoming season? I assume you're talking about Malik Washington, the wide receiver from Virginia who the Dolphins selected in the 6th round. That is my guy. Now, I do think he will. Do I think he will be the best rookie from this Dolphins class? No, it's just unlikely that he has the biggest impact. I'd probably give it to Jalen Wright or Chop Robinson. But I do think Malik Washington will be excellent this year and for years to come. Like, he can be that great slot guy in this Mike McDaniel offense, and he was terrific in college. He had almost 10 touchdowns. He had 1,300 yards. He was a second-team AP All-American and had 111 catches. Like, he is going to be phenomenal, and he is the most excited player, or at least the player I am most excited to watch in preseason. When he makes catches in the 3 preseason games for the Fins, I'm going to get fired up. Michael, hypothetically speaking, if Dolphins make it this season, make it far this season, playoff win a Super Bowl, how much should Tua get? That's kind of the risk you're running here, right? And I've always said this. I believe that Tua is going to have the best year of his career this season. He had the best year of his career last year, having 4,600 passing yards, completing 69% of his passes, and having 29 touchdowns. Sure, interceptions were a little bit high with 14, but year 3 in Mike McDaniel offense, I expect those numbers to go up. I think the passing numbers will be about the same, 45, 4,600, but I expect touchdowns to go up from 29 to 35. Touchdowns to go down from 14 to 10. So if Tua completes 67% plus of his passes, throws 35 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 10 interceptions, but also gets you a playoff win and potentially even an AFC East championship, like, I am going to think Tua is going to want $58, $60 million. Like, that's not what he should get maybe, but it's just the market. $55 million for that type of quarterback is the market right now. So if he puts up a better season, a career year, plays 17 games for a second consecutive season, and Miami makes it into the postseason and wins a playoff game, that price number is only going to go up by $3 million at bare minimum. So to me, that's why I think Tua should get paid now, because if you don't and he balls out like I expect him to in year 3 with Mike McDaniel, that price point's going to be even higher. That's going to do it for today's show. If you didn't get your question feature on the mailbag, well, you can get one at my Twitter, at Nic_Rohloff. So go give me a follow and hit me up, because I'm not afraid to answer any of your Finn's questions.